guys, welcome to the fourth and final Kix vlog on media, freedom, and shoes. Today, we'll be discussing the First Amendment, how its freedoms influence media, broadcasting, and advertisement, and finally, how all these things relate to shoes. Don't forget to check out our other videos, blogs, and podcasts.
Let's start out by talking about the First Amendment. As you see on the screen, you have the constitutional definition of the First Amendment. However, let's break this down into 5 basic freedoms that the First Amendment gives you. The first freedom is the freedom of religion. Then you have the freedom of speech, the freedom of press, the freedom of assembly, and the freedom of petition. When creating the Constitution, the Founding Fathers wanted to correct the wrongs that had been done to them during the colonial times. During these times, they were not able to freely speak their mind, and they were limited on what they could say about the government. When writing the Constitution, they wanted to make sure that this wasn't a problem. There was also a self-writing principle going around at this time known as libertarianism. Libertarianism gave them the idea that if they were to fully give all information to the media, they would be able to present it with full truth and no bias. However, if we look around today, no matter what stance you can take, you know that most media outlets out there have some sort of bias within their reporting. However, not all things are bad. These freedoms given by the First Amendment would lead to so many changes down the line. A big example of changes would be the Civil Rights Movement. If it wasn't for the freedom of assembly, then the Civil Rights Movement wouldn't have had as much power as it did among the people.
Free speech gives advertisers a lot of control on how they advertise. But how does the First Amendment restrict advertisers? Advertisements, otherwise known as commercial speech, has protection under the First Amendment, but not as much protection. You see, advertisements are not allowed to deceive, not allowed to just straight up lie. Advertisements, as opposed to other forms of speech, has a certain level of objective truth that is able to be monitored. Then you have social media sites that are privately owned. This allows the creators to restrict what their users do and do not post. For instance, you have Reddit and Instagram that don't really have any policies restricting misinformation. But Twitter has policies that protect elections that don't allow any manipulation or interference with the elections. And for broadcasting, you have the FCC. The FCC is the Federal Communication Commissions. They regulate interstate and international communications through radio, television, satellite, and wire. Though their authority has limitations, they do restrict certain topics, such as indecency, obscenity, sponsorship identification, on-air context, hoax, commercial content in children's TV, broadcast news distortions, accessibility to emergency information on TV, and inappropriate use of emergency alert warnings.
The freedoms of media give opportunities for different brands to compete against one another. Rivalries between brands are crucial to the First Amendment because they show opposing benefits and ideas that come from purchasing one brand over the other. Let's take shoes for example. Shoe brands such as Vans, Under Armour, and New Balance all have the same goal in mind, to sell their product and make a profit. But each of them specialize in certain areas that appeals to their audience. Vans specializes in style, New Balance specializes in comfort, and Under Armour specializes in more of the athletic side of shoes. While each of these companies are relatively the same, each of them have different spokespeople and ideas and concepts that make their brand. Another way that companies do this is to include political and cultural ideas to promote their company. We talked about this 2 weeks ago in our vlog about public relations when we spoke about Nike's partnership with Colin Kaepernick, a former NFL player and advocate against racial injustice. Companies do this to promote a good name for their company. A very recent example of this revolves around the shoe company Adidas and their partnership with Kanye West. West recently posted many anti-Semitic ideas that immediately resulted in his shoe line Yeezy to be dropped by Adidas. This example comes to show that while saying something may not have any legal consequences, the pushback from culture is still very much relevant.
To conclude our final podcast, we discussed the First Amendment, how it influences media, broadcasting, and advertisement, and finally, how these points relate to shoes. To close, let's ask our #1 subscriber, Faith, how she enjoyed the vlog.
I really liked how cool the videos were and how funny you guys are.
So, take it away, Faith.
Thanks for kicking it with Kix.
Peace out.